sometimes doing it wrong is doing it right. You see, you don't learn anything by doing everything perfectly. If you do everything perfectly, then you didn't have much to learn. If you make mistakes, then you have something you can learn from that. So this is all good. And it's the same with all of this inner process. You know, when you judge yourself, and when you catch yourself, you know, trying to, almost beating yourself down with something, it's like these are all discoveries. This is what is now. This is what's happening now. You know, the thing about the mind is that even though it's not real, damn, you're stuck with it right now. So you might as well just get to know it thoroughly. Get to know it thoroughly. And it's better, it's always better, if you don't take it seriously. That's the only thing.
So do you get to a point where you don't, if I'm already in a fearful place or a sad place, I'm already taking something seriously, obviously.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you see, you have to have a sense of humor about everything. So it's kind of like there should be nothing about you that you take so seriously that you can't make jokes about it. You understand? There's a certain attitude, because if it's really dead serious, then there's nowhere to go. You're just stuck in a dark whatever, pile of resin that's, you see, and it's kind of like, that's what I noticed when I was in the ashram. There was one trait amongst all of us on staff that were there for a long time and stayed for a long time, and that was, we just didn't take stuff seriously. You know, none of it. And amongst ourselves, we made fun of the guru, we made fun of everything. You know, and I saw people who took things seriously, and they were very earnest and very strong, and they were very short-lived in the ashram. they didn't stay very long because it was too hard. You see, so your life gets too hard if it's something you can't make fun of. The great comedians all make fun of themselves. They make fun of everybody else too.
Right.
But they're just as easily to make fun of themselves. You see, so.
Is that like a developed trait, making, just making, I mean, I'm a pretty upbeat person normally. I mean, in my normal, fairly, but I do get caught around certain issues,
right.
Just almost all the time. And even though I don't know.
Well,
is it just you keep working at those particular things?
Well, there are limits. There are limits to what you can work on. The main thing is to accept everything. The main thing is to accept everything as it is. So, you have these situations, you have these things come up. Oh, there it is again. There it is again. Look, caught again. This is the way I am. This is what happens every time.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. What are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah, you see an easier way about it than, oh, no, you see, now I'm off my spiritual path. I'm not doing it right. How do I remember? What do I have to remember again? It's like, just love yourself the way you are. And in order to do that, you have to know the way you are. So that's important. It's important to know how you are. Not just to be bouncing around with your eyes closed. That's important. But it's also important to be light about it, because that makes it tolerable. If it gets too heavy, what are you going to do? You're just going to suffer more deeply than is necessary. And you should treat yourself. You know, these fearful parts, I mean, really, this is just, the only energy that can embrace fear and call it its own is love. So all these places that you find inside, all they need is love. All they need is love. So you just apply that. And you can apply it just simply through acceptance. You see, just like if you met a child on the street who was afraid of something, you'd tell him it was okay. And then, you'd say it was okay, and then you'd start playing. Because that's what kids do, you see? That's keeping it light. But there's a fine line with the ego between accepting and indulging. Mm-hmm. And you have to use real discrimination to find that line. Because indulging only holds everything in place, you see. Acceptance is totally open to hearing and being with. And then that, when I still had a process, I would say, okay, great. You got anything new? Because I heard this before.
Right.
I've heard this, I understand it, I accept it, I know it. Is there something new?
Yeah.
If there's something new, I'm here. And usually there wasn't. And that would mean to continue would be to indulge.
Yes.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole drama that goes into that. And all it does is indulge in ego. Which is not what we're really here to do.
Right.
Okay? So this is much more into the ego than I normally go. Because the ego is just a rat hole.
But isn't it true then, if what you're saying, it's that fear is a temporary state, happiness, sadness, all of these are, and if you are
Yes.
in line, you see everything as this, you love all states.
Yes. But
That's-
yes, and you see it all as temporary. They're just transitory stuff.
So that helps with the lightness.
It
Like,
does.
oh, here I am again, I'm sad
Yeah.
because...
Well. And, yeah, it's like, this happens and then it passes. And then, and then you're fearful, right? You're fearful of whatever it is you're fearful of. Do you have a good example?
Finances.
Okay,
Past
that's
few weeks. There was
That's the perfect example.
and that's so dumb.
Well,
because I know
everybody's afraid of that.
well, not like death, say, That's the next one.
But finances.
The one this week,
Well,
last week.
Here's how it was for me. Years ago, I'm so glad you can make it. You can sit in front. Come on, in the hot seat. I'm going to chop your head off.
That's what I came for.
She had a quote from Jean Dunn saying that. I really cracked me up.
He likes it.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. The crowds are just too big. I got to get rid of them.
And you have that problem here.
Yeah. So, before the Enlightenment, it would happen to me at least 2 days a month. I would have this tremendous worry about my finances. And what I came to realize is that my finances were exactly the same the days that I didn't have the worry as they were the days that I did. So it didn't make any sense.
Right.
You see? And that was the thing. It was like I was just laughing at myself. It's like, hey, this is exactly the same as it was 2 weeks ago, and you weren't worried. So what's this about? This was just about that part of myself getting its expression. You see, it didn't mean anything. So when it doesn't mean anything, when it's just an energy running through you, then it doesn't mean anything. You don't get trapped in it.
So what do you mean when you say when it didn't mean anything?
Well, you see, when I realized that
okay.
you see, when I thought it was really about the finances,
Right.
it meant something.
Right.
when I realized my finances were the same the days that I wasn't worried as the days that I were, I realized it doesn't mean anything. So it just took the out of it. You know, it would still come up every now and then, but it would be laughable, you see.
Right.
And anyway, you know what's going to happen? You're going to sink or swim. You know, and it's like, if you worry about it, does it make it better?
No, and I know all that logically. I'm
Right.
just shocked that it still gets me.
Well, you see, I'm much more of a guy. You're much more of a girl. And girls have this relationship with emotions that is entirely different than guys. Okay? Because guys have this thing called logic.
Oh,
Well, I pressed a button. Well, as a primary, and usually they use that to suppress emotions altogether. But in any case, girls have a whole different relationship with feelings than guys. Sorry.
that I would agree with.
It's because they're still connected
Still connected to what?
to their heart and
Yeah.
to the whole being.
And guys are just, you know, connected to their dicks.
And their heads, you know, one end or another.
Oh dear.
Oh my God. Sorry about that. So it happens a lot with women. They need to just go through the feelings. And just go through it. But don't take it so seriously, because they're just feelings, and they're transitory. And you know, 2 weeks from now you won't be worried about it. That's all.
I do observe that, you know,
Mhm.
like one day to another, and I just can't figure out why one day it's there and one day it's not.
Because
It's
God's
so
sending you
weird.
messages one day, and the other day He forgot. You see?
Yeah.
That's all. And so it's like, don't even take it personally. It's just a bunch of stuff that comes up. Life is just a bunch of stuff that happens. Some days this comes, some days that comes. And that's all it is. That's all it is. Just don't take it so personally. So you have feelings. So you have feelings that don't even make sense. So you have feelings that do make sense. So you have feelings that are filled with fear, and then you have feelings that are filled with love. You know, but what I'm talking about is a sense of peace with everything. So even on the days where you're in fear, you're at peace with it. Because it's just transitory, it's not forever. It's just a moment, and it'll pass. And then you have days where, you know, everything's going great. That's going to pass too.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so everything just passes, and all you have to do is watch it. You see? And that doesn't mean that when fear arises, you don't feel fear. It doesn't mean when happiness arises, you don't feel happy. You feel all of it. But you don't personalize those feelings. You don't personalize those thoughts. They come and they go. And you see, that allows them to come and go without the stickiness and without getting lost in them. You get lost in them because you own them. You take ownership. You say, this is my feeling. This is my fear. This is my thought. This is my worry. This is serious. This is real. This is all there is. And it's nonsense. All it is a transitory state. And I'm sure that the right biologist can show you the hormones and all the chemicals running through that have caused this to happen. I'm just going to say it was messages from God. God sent you this message. God sent you this feeling. God just wanted you to feel like shit today. And that's how it is. You see? And who cares? Because it's not your feeling. It's just a feeling. It's just something going on. You are eternal. You are not those feelings. It doesn't mean that those feelings don't happen. They do happen. But it means that the you that you are is not that. The who that you are is something that is witnessing all of it. It's behind it all. It's like, you just see the movie. You don't see the screen. Without the screen, there is no movie. But the screen is necessary. Just that blank slate. Nothing happens without it. Then there's projected a movie, and that's all you see then. You don't see it anymore. But without it, there'd be no movie. What I'm saying is you are behind that blank slate. That's who you are. It's invisible to you because you're busy looking at the projection on the screen. You're not looking at the screen anymore. It's invisible to you. But that's who you are. So it's the idea of this, I am eternal, is to disassociate from the personalization of thought and feelings. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So it's not to get you out of thoughts and feelings. Thoughts and feelings happen, but they don't have to be yours. And that's why you get lost in them, because they became you. That fear became you. That worry became you. Those thoughts, those feelings, that became you. When you're happy, it's easy to be loose about it all. You don't have to, you see. But when you're worried, and when it's a thought that you're not comfortable with, that you wish weren't there, well, now you've just really strengthened it. I mean, who are you to wish that God didn't send you the message He's sending you? I mean, just allow it to happen. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you worry, because, that's what you were designed to do in some circumstances. There's people that were designed to worry very well. You see? And that's what they're going to do. It happens. So the key here with all of this really was to keep yourself where you are and let things happen as they do without falling into identification with it. I am eternal means that all this temporary stuff, all the different things that come and go, are not who you are. Okay? I am eternal means that you are not this body. You are not this mind. You are not these thoughts and feelings. That's what it's so you can use it in a different way perhaps. Maybe. But if you're lost, all it means is you're identified. You've identified with thoughts and feelings, and you see it's particularly strong with thoughts and feelings that we don't like. If we don't like a thought and feeling, then we're already involved. You see, you're already involved. You see, so it's like, if you're able to just witness everything that happens, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're having a good day or not. All days are the same. It doesn't matter. Really, all days are the same. The sun comes up, the sun goes down, it's hot, it's cold, whatever. All days are the same. And some of them are difficult, and some of them are easy. But that's not good or bad. The mind, though, is a tool for picking out good and bad. And it judges the days. And it judges the feelings. If you take it seriously, then you get lost in it. It's that simple. You can have days where you're nervous. There's no problem with that. Why not have days where you're nervous? It can happen. And then you can have days where things are calm. You see? But when you're from the point of view that this is not you, that what you are is something else altogether, you're the screen, not the images projected. You are the witness, not the feelings that are being felt. You are being. In each moment, there's just a sense of being that continues through everything. I'm going to say forever. Just a sense of being. That is who you are. The rest of this is just a bunch of stuff that happens. You see how much easier your life is now? Even if it's hard, it's easier. Even if it's difficult, it's easier. Because, thank God, that's not who you are. Now, you don't mind it being who you are when things are going good. Who cares? You see? But if you take that ride, then you're going to take the other ride too. So all of it is not good or bad. And whether you have a preference or not, fine. But if you don't like it, if you say, I don't like feeling this way, I don't want to feel this way, then you're locked in. You're locked in because you've already identified. You see?
Right.
That's the identification. That's what minds do.
Right.
So if you can just, like on that, realize it's not who you are, so who cares? Who cares? Who cares if it's a good day or a bad day? You know, I don't know what you guys think, but you know, I go home, I have bad days. Things totally fall apart, nothing works out right, my computer shuts down, this happens, that happens, I send out the wrong item. You know, things happen. And, you know, so it's just a bad day. That happens like that. Sometimes I'd rather have a nap. You know, not all the days are going to be good. Some are, some aren't. But I don't care. Nobody cares. So all my days are fine. That's aside from good or bad, I don't judge it. Some days are uncomfortable. Some days things don't go well, according to me. Who knows? You see?
Right.
So see if that helps. It's just a matter of this identification is so insidious because you've been doing it for so long. You find it in every nook and cranny. You know, if you look, you see. So it's kind of undoing all that doing. You know, it's been going on. The truth is, that is not who you are. And if you develop a conviction about who you are, that who you are is just this sense of being, just this witnessing in every moment. If you have a real conviction about that, the rest of it will just melt away on its own. On its own, it'll melt away. You don't have to do anything. It's because you've switched your point of view.
Right.
And when you lose your point of view, you'll laugh and go, ha, look at what happens. You see, because it's a habit. It's a habit. If you don't pay attention, you just slide into the old routine. It's easier. Life is easier without the doer. You see? Well, all these years, you've convinced yourselves that you are the doer. That you have free will and that you are doing what you're doing. And you're doing it well, or you're doing it poorly, or you're doing it right, or you're doing it wrong. You're doing. But you're not doing anything because you're just the witness. Witness doesn't do anything, just be. It's effortless. Effortless. There's nothing involved. It couldn't be simpler. You see? It's an easy life. It's an easy life. But doing is a very hard life. Because you do, then you have consequences. Your whole life is about creating karmas, be they good or bad. And the end results you have to suffer with, be they good or bad. Thanks. You helped the whole group.
Yes.
Hmm.